keep them there. Bismillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah. Wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man walah. So, this next episode of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's noble, auspicious life. The Sahaba radiallahu anhum have just welcomed Salman radiallahu anhu. Salman al-Khair, Salman bin Islam. He had different names, by the way. And on one occasion, there was a debate that broke out between the Muhajirun, the migrants from Mecca to Medina, and the Ansar, the residents of Medina. And they started to debate amongst themselves whether Salman radiallahu anhu was theirs or theirs. Did he belong to the Muhajirun or did he belong to the Ansar? So the Prophet ﷺ came and settled the score. He said, Salmanu minna ahl al-bayt. Salman is from us. He is the family of the Prophet ﷺ. And the accolades of this man are just remarkable. Just like Sa'ad bin Mu'adh radiallahu anhu, whose name we heard earlier. Now, Salman radiallahu anhu becomes a Muslim. And now we are going to begin with the construction of Masjid al-Nabawi alayhi salatu wassalam. So there's a plot of land, and this plot of land is the property of two orphans, and their names are Sahal and Suhail. These two orphans, they are in the care of their uncle. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam approaches the uncle alongside his best friend Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu to purchase this plot of land from these two young orphans. So they offered to give it to him, to the Prophet ﷺ, for free. And there's one narration which actually mentions that it was taken for free. But the Prophet ﷺ, according to another narration, probably the more reliable one, he didn't take it for free. He had no possession on his possession. He had no money at the time. So it was purchased. It was purchased by Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu in exchange for 10 gold coins. This is the land. This is where the camel, Qaswa, first came and halted until they continued to move until they came to the house of Abu Ayyub al-Ansari radiallahu anhu. So now Masjid al-Nabawi alayhi salatu wassalam's, the area where it's going to be built has been designated. Now the construction begins. He sallallahu alayhi wasallam is part of the construction jama'ah, the group himself, and he has with him his companions radiallahu anhum ajma'een. Imagine what this must be like. Every time I think about these stories or reiterate them, I just try to picture yourself there on this occasion. Abu Bakr wa Umar wa Uthman wa Ali with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam picking up stones, removing stones to build what is going to be the markaz, the headquarters for all of the hidayat of mankind. Anyways, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam picks up a stone. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu tells him, Ya Rasulullah, I'll take it from you. He says, no, go ahead. You get your own. I'll pick up this stone. And he continues like this. And the Sahaba radiallahu anhu continue the same. And the Prophet ﷺ, he makes dua for them. Allahumma la aisha illa aishul akhirah farham al-ansara wal muhajira. Oh Allah, the real life is the life of the next, the life of the hereafter. Have mercy, according to one narration, faghfir al-ansar, have or bless with your forgiveness the ansar and the muhajirun. And they continue like this. So they build the pillars of Masjid al-Nabawi alayhi salatu wassalam with, they were hewn from the trunks of date palm trees. And then there was the roof, which was made from the branches and the leaves of palm trees. Extremely simple. Hassan Basri, who was a very great giant tabi'i, he would later on narrate, I was a child, little boy, when I used to go to Masjid al-Nabawi, after I'd grown up, some time, I could actually touch the roof of Masjid al-Nabawi alayhi salatu wassalam with my palm, with my hand I could touch it. So it's a very extremely simple structure. Anyways, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has built it. When it was built originally the first time, again, there's a difference of opinion, but we'll stick to this one. It was 100 feet by 100 feet. So 100 feet was the width, the breadth, and 100 feet was the length. This cubits, 100, sorry, I said feet, 100 cubits length. A cubit's length generally is just from your finger to your elbow. This makes approximately 18 inches. So 100 of them, 1,800 inches, which amounts to 15 feet. 15 feet by 15 feet was all of Masjid al-Nabawi alayhi salatu wasalam. But what used to happen in there would obviously become, like I said, hidayat, a means of guidance for all of mankind until the end of time. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam builds it. This is the first time it was built during the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, after he comes to Madinah al-Munawwara. The second time he will expand Masjid al-Nabawi alayhi salatu wasalam is after the conquest of Khaybar, and this is after Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu returns from his hometown called Daws. And when he does, this is probably the 7th year after the Hijrah. So it's just been built now. The next time it's going to be expanded is 7 years from now. And so there's an Ansari Sahabi, albeit a poor one, who owns this land right next to Masjid al-Nabawi alayhi salatu wasalam. And so the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he comes to him to ask him, to request from him, to give him, to sell to him rather, this piece of land to extend Masjid al-Nabawi. And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam makes this request, to which the man responds that he doesn't have, he's not well-to-do, he's not a wealthy man. Therefore, he can't give it to them for free, but if somebody can purchase him from them, mind you, this is 7 years later, Medina has become a hub now. So obviously, you can imagine the price of it has gone up exponentially. So anyways, the Prophet ﷺ asked the Sahaba who was going to purchase this piece of land next to Masjid al-Nabawi so that we may be able to extend it. And this is an honor, whoever is going to be able to do so. He told that companion who was poor that if he were to sell it to him, he would give it to in exchange to him for 100 trees in Jannah. Yes, he would give him in exchange for this 100 trees in Jannah. When Uthman radiallahu anhu heard this, he went to the man from the back door and he said, listen, you sell me this plot of land, I'm going to purchase it from you for whatever you ask. It was 10,000 dirhams, which are silver coins. Uthman radiallahu anhu gave it to him. And then he came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, Ya Rasulullah, you made that man a deal that you'd give him this and that in Jannah. Do I get the same if I purchase this piece of land? He said, it's yours. He said, the deal's already been made. Now, sadly, later on in the life of Uthman bin Affan radiallahu anhu, when the fitna begins. Remember, after the Prophet ﷺ is the Khilafah of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu, 2 years and some change. After that is the golden era, the Khilafah of Uthman bin Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu. That's almost 12 years or past. These years, or 10 and some, yeah, anyhow. So these are the years that we continue to, Islam continues to grow and Islam continues to flourish, and it was good times. After that comes the reign of Ali bin Abi Talib, which is 12 years. The first 6 years is still good, but after that, things start to come down. The decline and the downfall of the Ummah begins then, during the reign of, I said, Ali. First comes Uthman radiallahu anhu's Khilafah. 6 years up. During the reign of Uthman comes 6 years. The next 6 years were tough. Anyways, Uthman radiallahu anhu, he was laid to siege inside his own home before he was ultimately killed. And you won't imagine, but it's a horrible story. This is the era in the seerah, in the tariq, known as the fitna. This is one of the incidents that happened. So Uthman radiallahu anhu, they laid siege to his home. He's not allowed to leave. In the home is him and his wife. His wife's name. But anyways, so they're inside of the home. And Uthman radiallahu anhu, he mounts his roof and he tells the people, he reminds them, do you people, have you forgotten, like, do I have to remind you what I've accomplished in Islam? And again, the list of his accolades is huge. You can't imagine who Uthman, he's the 4th greatest human being after the Anbiya alayhi salam. And one of the things he mentioned to them was this: do you people remember that the Prophet ﷺ needed somebody to purchase that plot of land, that piece of land, and to extend or to expand Masjid al-Nabawi alayhi salatu wasalam, and it was I who did so? Not that these people were going to change their mind about what they had done. They were rebels. They were the rebels that had sieged his home. Anyways, Uthman radiallahu anhu had nothing to eat for 40 days. He's been fasting. He's been fasting for 40 days. 40 days. They've laid siege to his home. And on this 40th day, Uthman radiallahu anhu fell asleep inside his home. There's rebels waiting outside to kill him. He fell asleep. And in this sleep, he saw the Prophet ﷺ in a dream. And the Prophet ﷺ said to him in his dream, he said, Uthman, you've been fasting for 40 days. Today you can make your iftar with me and Abu Bakr and Umar in Jannah. He woke up. Oof. He was reading the Holy Quran. He was in the verse, فَسَيْكْفِيكَهُمُ اللَّهُ, when they jumped over and they ultimately killed him. His blood dripped. I think it was preserved for a very long time. That's exactly where it dripped. فَسَيْكْفِيكَهُمُ اللَّهُ, Allah will take care of them for you. Anyways, Uthman radiallahu anhu was killed. But coming back to the story of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in the meantime, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam had requested two companions, Abu Rafi' and Zayd bin Harith radiallahu anhuma, to go back to Mecca from Medina and to pick up those of his family members that stayed behind. So from his wives there was Sauda radiallahu anha, and from his daughters there was Kulthum and Fatima az-Zahra, and Kulthum and Fatima az-Zahra and Ruqayya radiallahu anha. They came back, and with them they sent the son of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu by the name of Abdullah. And Abdullah bin Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu went back as well to bring back Ruman, the wife of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu, along with his sisters Asma, and along with his sister Aisha radiallahu anhu, and his other brother Abdurrahman bin Abi Bakr radiallahu anhu. And after this, they began, after the construction of Masjid al-Nabawi alayhi salatu wasalam, they began the construction of the rooms for the wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the two wives with him at the time, Sauda, they built a room for her on the east of Masjid al-Nabawi alayhi salatu wasalam, and Aisha Siddiqa radiallahu anha. And there was a Sahabi. Again, imagine this. There was a Sahabi who owned these lots or plots of land, and his name is Haritha bin Nu'man. He's extremely obedient to his mother. This Sahabi, by the way, when Rasulullah ﷺ went into Jannah, he heard the recitation of the Quran by this Sahabi amplified in Jannah. So when he asked why, he was informed that this Sahabi was extremely obedient to his mother. Hence, Allah had amplified his voice of the recitation of the Quran in Jannah. Anyways, he owned all of this land next to the homes, next to Masjid Nabi alayhi salatu. And whenever the Prophet ﷺ needed another one, he would request Harith bin Nu'man, and without taking any money from him, he would give it to him. Inshallah, we'll continue tomorrow.